The static voice of the yoga instructor from Sabrina's laptop echoed from the coffee table. It was pushed to the edge of the couch to make room for her green yoga mat. With her feet planted firmly on the floor, she went to enter another pose when her cell phone's ringtone alerted her from the kitchen. She leaned down and pressed the space bar to pause the video. Sabrina grabbed her towel to pat off the sweat from her forehead and neck. She picked up the cherry phone and answered without looking at the caller ID. "Miss Perkins, thank you for answering. This is Dr. Rupert, and as I was going through your file, I'm quite healthy. You've seen this last month," she interrupted. "Yes, I understand. You aren't the issue. You are a perfect candidate for one of my patients that need an organ transplant." Dr. Rupert leaned back in his rolling chair after dropping her file on his desk. The light surrounding him was dim, illuminating only from a single lamp. She put down the towel on the island countertop and adjusted her weight to her right leg. Organ transplant? Why in your right mind would you think that I would want to give up my organs for a stranger? Just come to the hospital, meet him, and we can discuss everything before you make your decision. Sabrina stared at her hand still firmly pressed on top of the towel. The hospital was cold, with hues of bright white and blue scattered around the waiting area. Sabrina sat in a lounge chair furthest away from any actual patients. She held her tan clutch centered on her lap, but it occasionally moved with her bouncing her leg. A nurse came up from the hallway and called her in. The colors of the waiting room extended past the heavy brown double doors. Once passing the corner, the spiky brown hair of her primary care doctor stood out amongst the people gathered around him. She twisted her neck slightly, just enough to let out a slight pop, not ready to hear what he has to say. The nurse took his attention from the conversation, and he reached out his hand towards Sabrina. "Miss Perkins, glad that you can make it." "I wish I could say the same," she said, pulling back her hand. "What do I need to know?" Dr. Rupert stood up straighter than he was in response to her seriousness. He clenched his jaw slightly, but didn't lose his smile. He gestured her into a hospital room where a man laid in a Johnny gown. "This is Louis McKay. He is slowly losing multiple organs, including his liver, a kidney, and quite possibly soon his heart. We are doing our best to keep him comfortable, but as the days continue on, he only gets worse." Sabrina watched as the pale frame of Louis sat up. He shared a weak smile before taking a sip from the paper cup at his bedside. "It will be a great honor if you are able to sacrifice yourself to help me get better," he said.